For decades, the world had this one simple idea about China, right? It was the quiet giant, the world's factory, just focused on getting rich. Well, that China, it's gone. Today, we're going to break down the strategic playbook of the one man who single-handedly rewrote the rules for a superpower and, changed everything, Xi Jinping. For something like 30 years, this was basically China's entire philosophy. It came from Deng Xiaoping, the guy who really built modern China. And the idea was simple, a real masterclass in patience. What did it really mean? It meant focus on the economy, don't pick any fights, and just quietly, peacefully take your place on the world stage. Super predictable, and you know what? It worked incredibly well. Yeah, that era is completely over. I mean, totally gone. That quiet, pragmatic China everyone thought they knew, it's been replaced by something new. Something way more assertive. So the big question for us today is, how on earth did this happen? And what exactly has changed? All right, so to really get this transformation, we've got to look at the two Chinas, right? The before and the after. The contrast is pretty stark. And wow, the shift is just dramatic. Everyone assumed China was this quiet factory kind of ruled by a committee, right? But the new reality? It's an assertive superpower that's not afraid to flex its muscles, and it's ruled, without a doubt, by one guy. And here's the kicker. This wasn't some slow, organic change. No, this was a deliberate step-by-step plan. So you gotta ask, where did a plan like that even come from? Well, to understand Xi Jinping's playbook, you really have to go back. You have to understand the personal history and, frankly, the traumas that shaped everything he believes. It really boils down to two key events. Two ghosts, you could say, that shaped him. First, the Cultural Revolution. I mean, imagine this. As a teenager, his own father, a top official, gets purged. His family is just destroyed. He's sent off to a remote village to do hard labor, literally living in a cave. That taught him a brutal lesson about what happens when things fall apart. Chaos. Then there's the second ghost, the collapse of the Soviet Union. He became obsessed with figuring out why it failed. His conclusion? It all fell apart because its leaders got weak and they lost their belief in the system. So, what do you learn from all that? For him, both of these experiences burned one single, absolutely non-negotiable lesson into his brain. The only thing that stops total chaos, the only thing that separates greatness from complete collapse, is the absolute, unquestioned power of the Communist Party. All wrapped up in one single, powerful leader. Okay, so let's get into the mechanics of it. Because with that lesson as his North Star, Xi launched one of the most effective power grabs you'll ever see. It was kind of like a silent coup, happening right out in the open. He pulled it off in three, honestly, brilliant steps. Step one, he launches this huge anti-corruption campaign. And of course, the public loved it. But behind the scenes, it was the perfect tool to take out every single one of his political rivals and just crush their networks. Step two, he gets himself declared the core leader. This basically just demolished the old system of collective leadership and funneled all the power directly to him. And then, the final, most audacious move. He gets rid of presidential term limits. Just like that, he can be ruler for life. And just look at how fast this all happened. He takes power in 2012. 4 years later, by 2016, that whole committee idea is dead, and he's the core. Just 2 years after that, 2018, he's ruler for life. This wasn't just making it up as he went along. No way. This was a methodical, super efficient plan from the very beginning. Okay, now here is where it gets really interesting. Once he had total control locked down at home, Xi could finally turn his attention outwards and unleash his real grand vision for China on the rest of the world. He gave it a name, the China Dream. But don't let the name fool you. This was way more than just a catchy slogan. It was basically a public announcement that the whole hide your strength, bide your time thing was officially over. This was about the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, putting it back, in his view, in its rightful place, at the very center of the world. And this table just lays it out perfectly. I mean, look at this reversal. In every single area, the playbook was completely flipped on its head. Philosophy went from hiding strength to showing it off. Foreign policy, from keeping a low profile to this aggressive wolf warrior diplomacy. Leadership, forget the committee, it's one man. The economy, it's not just about growth anymore, it's about state control and dominating tech. And society, yeah, those increasing freedoms,
replaced by techno-authoritarianism and mass surveillance.
And it's not just talk, right? You can see this new playbook in action all over the place. You've got the Belt and Road Initiative, this massive project to build a global trade network that revolves around China. You've got them building military bases in the South China Sea. You have diplomats who aren't shy anymore. They're openly attacking other countries. And back home, they've practically perfected a high-tech surveillance state to watch over 1.4 billion people. So the big question is, why does any of this matter to you, to us, for global business, for tech, for finance? Well, it matters because this power play inside China has completely changed the world we're all living and working in. You can really boil the whole global shift down to this. The time when we could assume China was going to be a cooperative partner, the idea that as they got richer, they'd become more like us, that's over. What we have now is an era of strategic confrontation. So, here's the bottom line. That quiet, pragmatic China the world knew for 30 years, the one that was just the world's factory, it's gone. What's taken its place is a totally new kind of superpower, one that's ideological, fiercely nationalistic, and driven by the incredible, iron-willed vision of just one man. Look, this isn't just about a new leader. It's about a fundamental change in the entire personality of a global power. And that forces every single one of us to figure out how to operate in a new, and frankly, much more dangerous and unpredictable world. The question isn't if we have to adapt, it's how.
If you enjoyed this breakdown, that's what we do here at Finologix. We try to cut through all the noise on these huge topics. So for more explainers that give you the real story, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for joining me.